Elaine Quijano has proof a public library can become a key part of the fabric of a community.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise, make some noise, make some noise, make some noise!
The fashions walking down this runway were created by 11 designers whose garments had never been seen publicly before. This isn't New York Fashion Week, it's the Brooklyn Public Library's Fashion Academy.
It was just such an amazing space.
Lindsay Augustin and Winnie Seaclay founded the 16-week program, which is free for Brooklyn Public Library cardholders. Participants also need to live in the community and know how to sew.
With fashion, it's such a gate-kept industry. It can feel really, really hard to get in. You're not sure what to do, especially if you have talent. Without the right connections, without knowing the industry, well, we'll give you the insights so you can do what you need to do to get in there.
The Academy relies on the generosity of donors. In fact, the program isn't accepting more students until next year due to lack of funding.
What kind of operating budget do you have?
We started out with $15,000 to make all of this happen, if you can imagine. So we had a lot of donations.
Who has designed a collection before?
To help guide the students, Augustin turned to designer and Project Runway All-Stars alum Benjamin Mack.
My dress is wicked. She's wicked here, she has a split here, she's wicked there.
And I laid it all out from beginning to end, and he was in shock. He said he was sold, but he was also in shock because he goes, "You really just walked in here and waited."
Lindsay's got a really great energy, and I think that her enthusiasm for the project was quite positive. If something feels good, I've got no problem in just saying yes.
That was 8 years ago. Mack is now a fixture, drawing out designers' creativity.
I just don't know how I'm gonna cut it out and make the shape of it, kind of.
Well, that's okay. You don't have to know today. When I see their face light up when they're talking about an idea, that's when I grab that. I'm like, okay, we're running with that. That's the bit that we're going to try and grow.
Growing is the goal for these students who bring a wide range of work and life experience.
My name is Regina Spann. I'm 51 years old. Occupation is human resources.
Hi, I'm Swanetta Hunt. I am 24. I am a wardrobe stylist and a fashion designer.
I'm Victoria Araskina. I'm 27. I'm coming from the industry of facade engineering.
Like their backgrounds, their reasons for joining the Academy vary. Regina Spann followed a traditional career path for years.
Why did you apply?
I've always did what I was supposed to do, which is go to school, go to college, get a degree, get a job, but I wanted to do something I was truly passionate about.
Lamika Pugh heard about the Academy years ago.
I applied, I got in, and then I was too nervous, so I dropped out. So this year, I kind of made a dedication that I was gonna try it again. This is kind of my second chance.
The students all take the same first steps, turning ideas into something tangible, a sketch.
I put it on a skirt with a top, but I'm not really sure that's what it's gonna be.
This I don't need much fabric on. This I only need 2 yards maybe. 2? Okay. Yeah.
After drawing their designs, the students search for materials.
Wow, that's such a good color. Maybe screen printing on top of it, but I'm nervous.
Then the designers, including Swanetta Hunt, begin construction. She credits a relative with encouraging her to explore what the library had to offer.
My sister, she's a librarian. She always seeks out all the libraries that are near me. She always says, just go in there, you'll find so many opportunities.
Benjamin Mack encourages students to take them.
There's another piece on this side, right? So it can be coming like that, right?
And to consider questions beyond the nuts and bolts of making garments.
What is your message? As a fashion designer, you need to have a message. Yes, you can make a beautiful piece, but what are you trying to tell people, tell the world? And I think that's the one thing that he was pushing us to do.
Finally, the night of the fashion show arrives, the culmination of months at the Academy and for some, years of perseverance.
Once again, make some noise for Regina's band. Make some noise.
What is the statement you hope to make by having this runway show in the lobby of the Brooklyn Public Library?
The statement is anything is possible. If you dream it, it can happen. If you want it, you can attain it. This world is full of opportunity. You just have to grab it.
To Elaine Quijano, and a treasured American painter whose passion is putting the work of other artists on display.
When Alex Katz began painting more than 75 years ago, he ignored what was popular then to pursue his passion: figurative art.
Most people didn't like my work, you know?
Did that hurt?
Most people, yeah, didn't like it. It was figurative and everything was abstract and that it was pop art. A lot of people didn't like it.
What was that like for you?
I really didn't care that much what they thought. You know, if they liked it, swell, and if they didn't like it, go to hell.
Katz depicts recognizable figures and objects from the real world. Using unfussy backgrounds and large areas of color, he emphasizes shapes and outlines and paints massive pieces, often with his wife Ada as his subject.
I did the figures on the flat ground. I did the double portraits of Ada. I did the big heads before anyone, and that's really aggressive. And the big compositions. No one had done anything like it.
Katz grew up in Queens, New York, and attended the Skowhegan School of Painting and Sculpture in Maine. He's been honing his technique ever since. In 1986, Sunday Morning documented his artistic process.
If you go close to these and look at them, they're done very simply.
These days, the art world has caught up to Alex Katz's talent. His paintings can sell for millions of dollars, and exhibitions around the world have highlighted his work, including this show in 2022 at New York's Guggenheim Museum. Now famed for his portraits, Katz is also highly regarded for his landscapes, often inspired by the picturesque scenes near his summer studio in Maine.
It's a long way from Queens.
It's a long way from Queens, but it is like Queens. It's all kind of small.
Katz says painting the outdoors heightened his creativity.
I thought I was connected with outdoor painting, but actually I was connecting with myself. The painting was no longer cerebral, it was coming from the inside.
This summer, Alex Katz turned 98, and after a lifetime painting, he's focused on the work of other artists.
This is a classic Hartley. You have all the power of Maine, the figure and the landscape, color and line. It looks like something that Alex would love.
He gifted a collection of more than 100 paintings by emerging and established artists to Maine's Portland Museum of Art.
As the art world has moved different ways and fashions, Alex has always stayed true to himself.
Mark Basir is the museum's director.
I see his love of artists taking chance and his love of artists emanating that sense of energy that he likes in a painting. He doesn't like a painting because it looks like his or it's figurative. He likes it because it's got the energy and it pops.
The exhibit is called Painting Energy.
If you had to use words to describe the sensation of looking at some of
It's
those
just like
paintings.
a pow. You get it right through the air. It's very quick.
A pow.
Yeah. Sometimes you can get a whole show, as they open the elevator door, blink and shut it. You know what this painting is about.
I made the figures with 1, 2, 3, 4 strokes of paint.
Mm-hmm. One painting that gave him that pow was Catherine Bradford's piece, Shadows.
What was your reaction when you learned that Alex Katz had bought one of your paintings?
I just felt, oh, well, maybe I am a little good. And Alex Katz, he certainly is really good. Good eye, good person.
Bradford didn't start painting until her 30s. Now she's 83, and her pieces typically sell for tens of thousands of dollars.
Alex Katz is a leader in contemporary art, but in the state of Maine, he's king, and we all look up to him. He decided to use what he had gained to give back to artists, to buy artists' work.
Why did you want to have a collection of other artists' paintings?
Well, I want to help other people who went through the same difficulty that I did. You know, I know every little help I got in that period from 25 to 30, I really appreciated.
Like when a paint manufacturer who recognized Katz's talent early on gave him art supplies as part of a deal.
He got 5 or 6 little paintings, and I had free paints, but the big thing was that someone believed there was something in me.
Alex Katz still works 7 days a week and is still taking risks.
Sometime in about a week, I'll do the first painting of the new series.
And you seem excited about that.
I'm excited and frightened.
Frightened?
Yeah, I'm scared whether it won't work out.
So after all that you've accomplished, you still worry?
I want to go where I'm scared. The new things might be better, they might be worse, but I have to do them.
They call Damon Melancon the beadmaster of New Orleans.
I sew with the smallest beads. That's where you get the most detail.
But on Mardi Gras, he's also known as the Big Chief of the young Seminole Hunters Black Masking Tribe.
I'm the Big Chief!
Long barred from official parades, African Americans created their own way to celebrate. Mardi Gras Indians wear massive, colorful suits to honor the Native Americans who helped Black people escaping slavery.
We're challenging each other.
And a challenge is?
The challenge is, I'm gonna sing against you, I'm gonna dance against you, and I'm gonna show you how I'm better than you in sewing.
Melancon started masking when he was just 14. When he became a big chief, an elder noticed the beadwork on his suit.
And he told me, he said, it's your turn, bro. Looking at my work, he was saying, man, you more than just a black masking Indian, you're an artist.
His work has been shown all over the world. A solo exhibition is currently on display at Philadelphia's African American Museum. Desjay Duckett is the museum's curator.
You look at what Surratt was doing in the 19th century with oil paint, and now Damon is doing this with beadwork, which is, to me, is even more amazing and captivating.
His main goal was, just like mine is, to preserve this culture. And he takes us in places where I'd have never thought we'd be.
Once practiced in secret, black masking has gone mainstream in New Orleans. The Backstreet Cultural Museum, where Horace X is a tour guide, attracts visitors from across the globe.
It is a blessing to be able to tell our story.
And earlier this year, the NFL hired a black masker, Queen Taj, to design the Super Bowl logo.
So what I'm doing right now.
All that attention is just fine for Big Chief Damon Melancon. Come Mardi Gras Day, he says he'll still be right here.
You are making
I'm making a suit right now to mask this coming year. Black masking in my life changed my life and made my life what it is today.
From its golden sun to its turquoise surf, Hawaii can always take your breath away. But it's these colors that may dazzle the most.
So this is where you go picking for your color palette.
This is puakeni, and it's a really valued flower in Hawaii.
The island's exquisite array of flowers, harvested by Hawaii native Meliana estes for the ancient tradition of lei-making.
Is there a key to picking these flowers?
Yes, so we usually pick them just right under hands, like a little snap right under the bulb. And then we leave them this way until we're ready to sew our lei.
Hawaiians have been proudly sewing leis for more than 1,000 years, a tradition introduced by early Polynesian settlers who wore the garlands around the neck or head as a gesture of respect for the gods.
Welcome to my home.
Thank you. What does it mean when you give someone a lei?
A lei is your expression of aloha, your love. You're caring for someone, you're congratulating someone, you're welcoming someone.
When is it appropriate to give someone a lei?
All the time. At all times,
Really?
yeah.
Always?
Completely always, I think.
Estes learned the intricate art of lei making from her grandmother, or tutu, and published a book to celebrate her traditions.
By me, it was like, osmosis, sort of. My tutu was an avid lei maker. It's just what you do. It's just part of the rhythm of your family.
Estes makes these incredible creations for friends and family, using just a long needle and thread. A single lei can use 300 individual flowers.
Plumeria, this is a really fun, I love
Yeah,
this
it's
rainbow
beautiful.
plumeria. This is the classic yellow plumeria lei.
This smells like you can eat it.
I know, that one's
really
crazy. I know, that one's so strong.
Beautiful,
And then we
very
have crown flower, which is...
With dozens of flower species used for leis, the designs are endless and extraordinary.
All of the colors in the rainbow.
As we saw at the annual Lei Day Festival, held in Waikiki every May 1st since 1929.
This is gorgeous. What's the inspiration?
We have a lei papali, and I thought I would just do something fun and wild.
Each year, more than 100 master lei makers enter their work for the chance of being crowned Best in Show by judges including Jamie Adams Detweiler.
I'm looking to see that they stay true to the lei method. I'm looking at also what feeling that lei brings to me, the essence of the lei.
This year's winner, this elegant design, an ornate lei woven with berries and flowers. But while lei making remains popular, its future could be in peril. Suburban sprawl has paved over many flower farms, and climate change has overheated remaining land. An estimated 90% of flowers used in leis are now imported from countries like Thailand.
And through these doors is where
Is
you
the
make
flower
lei.
room, yeah. So this is where all the magic happens.
Oh, wow, yeah. I mean, there's endless colors here.
Andrew Mao owns a small Oahu boutique called Island Boy, where he makes leis from mostly family-sourced flowers.
Everybody's personal lei making stash has just been reduced.
On top of that, Mao says, a lei only lasts around 2 or 3 days, which has added more stress on the island's dwindling flower stock and forced him to adapt.
I've seen a lot of lei over the past few days, probably hundreds. Yours is very different.
We work with what we can get. Sometimes we don't get enough flowers to make a full lei. We've used unripe fruit. We recently had someone bring in like avocados from their tree that they pruned.
Would a traditional lei maker use those
They probably
materials?
cringe when I just said that.
Mao's work is so popular, he regularly sells out. He now makes what he calls a forever lei.
A forever lei is our response to the perishability of flowers. So we work with wood, beads, seeds, shells, nuts, and it doesn't have an expiration date.
The many looks of leis, a symbol of Hawaii's lasting heritage and nature's fleeting beauty.
So what is that like? I mean, you make the most beautiful lei, knowing that in a day or two,
it'll be
it's done.
I guess that's just the beauty of it, being in the moment with it, and just knowing that you're so fortunate you got to create this and share it, and just enjoying it while you have it.
These are images from Juneau, Alaska, where this past week flooding from an overflowing glacial lake prompted evacuations. Disappearing glaciers are, of course, a worrisome global trend. Ben Tracy with Climate Central introduces us to a man who's made glacier mapping a family affair.
But it is stunningly beautiful out here.
This 2 miles we've done so far today, I mean, that was fun.
I'm not complaining. I'm happy to take a walk on a glacier any day.
In the rugged North Cascade Mountains of Washington state,
My life has been shaped by this ice.
No one likely knows this glacier better than Maury Pelto.
We got 6,000 measurements on this glacier.
You have 6,000 measurements on this one glacier?
Yeah, at least.
Wow.
For more than 40 years, Pelto, a glaciologist, has returned to this remote wilderness. The crunch of footsteps in the snow now rivaled by the sounds of melting ice.
It's always melting off, the crevasses are changing. We can hear the water flowing under our feet.
Yeah, I mean, just standing here, you can hear it just running under our feet.
Pelto founded the North Cascades Glacier Climate Project in 1984 as a grad student. He vowed to measure these glaciers every summer for 50 years.
So how deep is that?
This is 9.5 feet. So now we just do this over and over again all day long.
This is year 42.
How old were you when you decided to do 50 years of this?
I was 22.
22. How old are you now?
63.
In that time, the glaciers have changed more than he has, shrinking by 40%. Some have disappeared. Pelto's work has been featured by NASA and fed into a worldwide glacier database.
So of the 47 that you have studied and returned to over and over again, how many are gone?
12 of them.
12?
Yeah, and 9 of them just in the last 5 years.
Wow. Climate scientists say warmer summers and drier winters, driven by our burning of fossil fuels, are accelerating the loss. 7 of the 10 worst years for glacier melt worldwide have happened since 2010, according to Climate Central. Or just ask Maury Pelto where the ice used to be.
Almost 50 feet above my head just a decade ago.
A decade ago, this glacier would have been 50 feet above your head?
Yeah.
That much has been lost?
Yes.
Glaciers are Earth's water towers, storing 70% of the fresh water supply. Vital for drinking, farming, and the health of many ecosystems. As they melt, sea levels are rising and coastal flooding is getting worse.
We're on Ptarmigan Ridge, and that's a ridge that extends most of the way from Mount Shuckson to Mount Baker that we're looking at.
That is spectacular scenery up there.
It is. You know, it's the highest mountain in the North Cascades.
On his annual treks to Mount Baker,
it feels like home.
Pelto has hiked nearly 6,000 miles and slept 800 nights in a tent.
This is our kitchen. We got our living rooms. We got our picture window. It's also one of those places that's really special to us as a family. I brought 2 real crampons and a fancy yak track.
His son Ben, daughter Jill,
looking right at me.
And now his 9-month-old granddaughter Wren have joined him in the field.
2 feet.
2 feet.
Jill Pelto has spent 17 summers by her dad's side.
You get some measurements of the GPS along the blue ice.
But she doesn't just collect data. As the project's art director, she paints it.
So these measurements that you and your dad are taking out here, eventually some of those data points will go into your art.
Yes, exactly. Data is a story about something in the real world, and that story has meaning and emotion, and that's what I'm trying to bring into my art.
Her watercolor paintings are more than just beautiful landscapes. They reveal the science. Look closely and you see a bar graph of glacier decline in the North Cascades. One piece showing temperature rise and ice loss made the cover of Time magazine.
I think sometimes when people see data, there's kind of this instant reaction. And so it's not like the data is any different in my art, but something about that combination maybe gets people to kind of put down that wall of like, oh, I can't understand this, or, you know, this is not something I'm interested in.
The average person is not going to read a scientific report.
No.
But they will see a painting.
Yes.
And it does impact you in a different way.
Yes, definitely.
Her art has given her dad a new way to share the story he's been recording for the past 42 years.
There's nothing left of the glacier that was around that cave.
No.
What has this been like for the two of you to do this together? I imagine something like this has to change your relationship in some way.
We do it so seamlessly at this point. Sometimes I don't know where I start.
Feels like you're one team out here?
Yeah.
This bigger project that just means so much to us and has shaped our lives. So sharing that every year is Yeah, beyond special.
Tomorrow we go to the Rainbow Glacier.
And now Maury Pelto has just 8 summers left to fulfill his 50-year promise.
What do you think it's going to be like that first year you don't come out here?
I don't know. I can't remember what it was like to not come out here. This landscape has been shaped by ice, and so to understand the landscape and the ice, you really have to walk across it.
Jackson Pollock, Helen Frankenthaler, Willem de Kooning. Less familiar, but no less memorable, the works of another abstract expressionist whose identity and paintings were almost lost to history. Serena Altschul tells us why.
If you swap these and then swap these, then you pull the yellows together.
Here's a family puzzle.
I mean, I think that works really beautifully with a diamond.
How do you showcase your grandfather's career
Push it in a little bit.
in honor of his passing 2 years ago?
Looks great.
I like it.
A career that spans more than 5 decades. One series Joop Sanders left behind, called Variables,
This takes advantage of the height of this.
Yeah, but
it does.
has multiple ways to hang.
But we're not attempting to hang that.
we don't have the room for that.
We could have done this show with 15 entirely different paintings, but we had favorites and we had must-haves.
For co-curator and granddaughter Iska Greenfield Sanders, this retrospective is a chance for the world to brush up on Joop Sanders, the last abstract expressionist. The exhibit is on display at Manhattan's Milton Resnick and Pat Pasloff Foundation until July 19th.
Abstract Expressionism is the first movement that is homegrown in the United States, that is an international art movement. You look at a lot of the geometric work, it's quite figurative, it's very human. It teaches you about how you're holding yourself in space and how you are looking at it on the wall.
Sanders emigrated from Amsterdam to the U.S. at 17. He was among the youngest to take part in the landmark 9th Street show in 1951, sharing the same billing with more familiar names like Willem and Elaine de Kooning, who would become lifelong friends. Elaine and Joop even posed for each other back when they couldn't afford models.
He was always in there and always making great work. I think often about what it must have been like keeping up with these guys who had been painting for quite a while already and holding his own.
But during that scene's formative years in the mid to late 50s, Sanders and his new family left for his native Holland, exhibiting all over Europe before coming back to New York.
This is just when abstract expressionism is hot.
That's
and
right.
Everybody's happening.
A handful of the Abex painters made money, and the truth is no one else did. He's still living his life as a human being, and he has a young family, and his parents want to know their grandchildren, and his family was very important to him.
And important for Iska Greenfield Sanders, who learned how to paint from Grandpa Joop at 8 years old. The exhibit is part of a grieving process to honor the artist who died in 2023.
Can you imagine not having this in your life?
No. I always think of it as the red painting, but there are so many other colors. As a painter, I see some of his moves. There's so much movement, and it's a dance.
Beautiful.
We lost him, he was 101, just shy of 102. I was born on his 57th birthday, and he and I shared a birthday for the next 44 years. His loss from the family has been lifted by being able to bring to light all of his paintings and share them with other people.
It's almost a reintroduction for the world.
I can't wait.
If If at first you don't succeed, try again. Luke Burbank introduces us to an artist who has the proof.
You might say Jason Jones's art career got off to a bit of a slow start.
I applied to like 6 graduate schools. I got rejected from all of them. You know, I think I learned pretty quick, like I don't know if I fit into the fine art world, you know, the gallery scene and all that.
But Jones was undeterred. He painted kids' bedrooms, corporate backdrops for Walmart conventions, and lots of murals around his hometown of Fayetteville, Arkansas. And then one day, after years of trying to break through, something unexpected happened.
So just coming from that poor background, you know, you're always trying to find the cheapest option to whatever, make your art.
Jones bought an old second-hand painting, planning to just use the frame when, for some reason, he felt compelled to add his own personal touch.
It's actually the print there behind you, and I just plopped a robot on there for fun, and people really liked it.
He says as soon as he posted it on Instagram, people were lining up to buy it. That was new for him back then, but these days he makes his living selling his altered thrift store art, as he calls it.
Most of this is just being thrown out. It feels like they're just like little orphans, I guess, to me, that I can give them a home and just a new life, and then I send them back out in the world.
His originals can go from $800 to $1,200, depending on the size and complexity. The modifications can be ominous or silly or even cathartic after being brought up in a deeply religious home.
I think like learning that being on the spectrum like has a new angle. I would seriously get anxiety just looking at pictures of Jesus.
Because it brought you back to your childhood.
Yes.
And those feelings of worrying, am I going to go to heaven or hell? And
yeah, I think it really affected me.
Get the picture? This was the first one of those you did?
Yeah, the first one I did, I just kind of did it therapeutically.
Jones says paintings of Jesus Christ are by far and away the most common form of thrift store art he encounters. You don't get anybody coming up saying, how dare you?
Sometimes it's like an older person might be like a dirty look, but I haven't had anyone just get really angry and yell at me. But most of the time it ends up someone telling me their religious trauma, or yeah, we just have long conversations.
I mean, people may think it's sacrilegious that you're adding like a hamburger to Jesus's thoughts, but there's, you could say also a certain sacrilege to the fact that this was retailing for what, $2.92?
Yes.
To be clear, Jones isn't the only artist out there adding new images to old ones. There are lots of examples of people adding pop culture updates to existing works. And in case you're wondering, most of the artists making these altered works say they are parody. They say that means their fan art is protected under free speech. In fact, some artists have even been commissioned by companies to use their trademarks, the ultimate intersection of art and commerce. Jason Jones hasn't been approached by any big companies for any big money yet, but that's okay. He's just happy to get to make his living painting. In fact, he says, if he does his job right, people might not even realize he was ever there.
Yeah, I think of it almost as like jokes. And the subtlety is almost like the timing of the joke. So if you get it just right, you know, it just hits well. I've done art shows where people would walk right by my booth. They're just thinking I'm selling old thrift store art, you know, and then their second or third pass, they walk into my booth and then they're like, oh.
We see them all the time. Talented kids performing in music groups, on stage, even on screen. You can't help but wonder, how do they balance work with school? Mo Rocca introduces us to some star students.
I tell people who work here, if you're going to be jealous of kids' resume, you should probably find a different place to work.
James Dawson is head of school at New York's Professional Children's School, where work-study takes on a whole different meaning.
And there are a few kids who actually make more money than their entire family. you know, they're the major breadwinner. So we're one of the few schools that has to look at kids' tax forms when they're asking for financial aid. It's definitely different.
Lots of schools have a famous alum or two, but PCS boasts a Rolodex of notable names.
You sure about this?
Scarlett Johansson.
It's gonna be fun.
Yo-Yo Ma. Macaulay Culkin.
I'm in good shape.
His brother Kieran.
This guy.
Vera Wang, Milton Berle, Carrie Fisher, Leslie Uggams, Christopher Walken, Ashley Tisdale, Uma Thurman.
I like the island Manhattan.
And before she picked up an Oscar for West Side Story, Rita Moreno went to PCS. Don't confuse PCS with the public high school made famous by the movie and TV show Fame. The students at that school, now called LaGuardia, aspire to careers. Professional Children's School, with an annual tuition of nearly $60,000, is for students who are already working to make sure they get the education they need on a schedule tailor-made to fit theirs.
I came in 6th grade, so I've really been here a while. I started here because I booked a TV show called Single Parents.
I'm regretting the purple. I should have dressed like a normal kid.
Devin Campbell was just 7 and in a regular school when he landed his first Broadway show.
I was out a lot. There never really was any time that I was here doing school regularly, so I needed a school that really accommodated to the working child.
She's imperfect, but she tries.
Kids in showbiz is nothing new, but they weren't always celebrated.
In the early part of the 20th century, to be an actor was considered a really inappropriate occupation for a child. So actually schools would not let a kid who was acting on Broadway come to school. And the 2 women who started the school went backstage and noticed kids playing cards, and they were like, "What are you doing and why aren't you at school?" And they said, "We can't go to school." So on January 6, 1914, 4 kids came. Within a year it was 100 kids, and it really grew from that.
I have to go away for maybe a few weeks or a month or 2 because I have several concerts in foreign countries.
You might think schoolwork for 9th grader / concert pianist Taiga Wang would be an annoyance, but he says it's part of his development as an artist.
Even for our professions, if you truly want to understand music, you might want to reference Dante sometimes, also like Shakespeare.
I view it as I want to have a balance in my life, a balance between ballet and school.
10th grader and ballet dancer Athena Shavorkin leaves school each morning at 10:30 to train.
There's always a lot of sacrifices to be made within a profession. If it is attending a normal school, if it is hanging out with friends after school or doing normal teenager or kid activities.
Was there a prom?
There was. I went to the prom.
And did you get asked to the prom through an agent?
No. No. I got asked just by normally.
Tyler Peck enrolled in PCS as a freshman and became an apprentice with New York City Ballet at age 15. Today, she's a principal dancer.
And I remember going to Dr. Dawson and saying, you know, it's really hard being in the company and trying to get 4 full years of high school done. You're on every night in every ballet. And so he actually worked with me and my teachers so that I could do my high school in 3 years.
Some of these kids experience rejection on a pretty big scale,
True.
right?
You have teachers who understand that maybe we stop the class today because we need to talk because Johnny just lost his job, or the show just got closed, or because the producer screamed and yelled and said he's an ugly, horrible person. Let's all talk about that.
But James Dawson sees rejection as part of their education.
I think it gives them wisdom to some extent because, in fact, they have to learn to live through it.
You see my name bright in lights up there on the marquee. All I need from you now is to wake up and see I'm a star.
Correspondent Chris Livesay this morning drops in on an artist in Rome whose house is quite a home.
To step inside the Roman home of Luigi Serafini,
I don't even know where to begin.
Is to step inside the artist's mind.
I don't either.
And what a playful mind it is.
Like this?
I do.
An altar that's one part spaghetti, one part commedia dell'arte. And over there, that's a crock egg dial, priceless in today's egg-based economy.
Questo mio povero cuore non sa più cosa pensare.
Oddio, e non mi facevi scordare la cosa più importante.
He even collaborated with Federico Fellini on the look of his final film, The Voice of the Moon. But his magnum opus was a book he published in 1981, the Codex Seraphinianus, so mystifying, even he can't explain it.
So if you were introducing yourself for the very first time to somebody and they said, oh, what's this? What's this book? What do you tell them?
I smile. I say, okay, you like it, okay.
You tell me.
Exactly.
From that early work, conceived when he was just 27, he became a cult rock star of the art world, celebrated by intellectuals and tattoo artists alike as something of a surrealist wizard, says curator Pietro Mercagliano.
He is something magical, something that appears and disappears, but his smile is always there, like the Cheshire Cat. And his art always has this odd part.
There are monsters, birds, and whatever the heck that is. Creatures so uncanny, it's as if they were beamed down to him.
Probably the most, I think, real possibility is that there was a spaceship. And so some aliens sent me some message. That's one. The second possibility was my cat.
Your cat?
Exactly. It was sleeping on my shoulder. So I simply receive the dreams of my cat, and then so maybe it's the point of view of a cat. Who knows? That's the two possibilities: aliens or cat. The rest I don't know. It happened.
Perhaps the most alien of all is the language. It's 100% made up. The letters, the words, everything.
The surprise was the way children are able to understand book more than me. So it's fantastic when I see children reading my book and explain to me. I mean, I feel very...
But I feel like a child when I read your book.
Exactly.
That childlike whimsy has dashed off the pages and sprinted into Serafini's home of nearly 40 years. Everywhere you look, there are references to the book and reflections of his Rome neighborhood just beside the Pantheon. But despite creating an oasis of surrealism, his home faces a very real-world problem. The landlord wants him and all of his art to go, so the space can be turned into something else.
Imagine that all this will be completely destroyed, disappear.
And turned into what, a bed and breakfast?
Maybe. And no respect for art.
Most of the other residents have already left the building. The same is true for his entire neighborhood. Apartments where locals used to live, now converted into short-term rentals. More than 30 million tourists are expected this year alone.
You're one of the last real Romans left in this neighborhood.
Yeah, it should be supported by United Nations.
You're an endangered species.
Exactly.
Serafini notes they're all squeezing in to see the art that helped make this city eternal, while squeezing out the artists.
Completely crowded.
What do you say to somebody watching this who might think, what was he thinking? He did all of this in a house that he doesn't even own. I mean, what were you thinking?
My answer is that when you do art, you cannot, you are timeless. You are in another dimension. You don't imagine the future, the past, whatever. I never thought that one day I could be evicted by this place because I was completely inside.
You were possessed.
Exactly.
It's moving day, but don't be alarmed. Serafini is packing up his work for an exhibit in northern Italy, held at the Labirinto dell'Amazzone, one of the largest mazes in the world. a fitting metaphor for Serafini's dizzying housing crisis, but also for a lifetime of head-spinning work. Some see traces of M.C. Escher, others Hieronymus Bosch, all of it laughing in the face of reality.
Humor is maybe the main feature of Luigi Serafini's art. I think that is because humor is the way to put reality in doubt, not to have just one reality. Everything he does is extremely free, is out of definition. He is someone who is able, through his gesture, through his words, and of course, through his sculptures and paintings and drawings, to create a world that is as true as the one in which we every day live.
As for his home, a judge has allowed Serafini to stay based on artistic merit, but only temporarily. A final ruling is expected later this month.
And for you, this is like the Alamo.
Yeah, I'm resisting. The question is simply to destroy a work of art. I think not me, but even people who have been here thinking that this place disappear makes certain stomach.
Makes me nauseous to think about.
Exactly. That's the question, is this.
One man's trash is another man's treasure. A timeless adage that Jonathan Vigliotti tells us is as true as ever.
Inside this shipping container.
Okay, it's surprisingly light.
Back from exhibition.
No offense, but from this angle, it really does look like just a bunch of junk.
Yeah, it's really. Is a work of optical illusion. What looks like junk from the side very clearly becomes art from the front.
Wow.
In some ways, these are like Trojan horses.
Fun and games, but with a stinging message on the inside when you look deeper.
That's the idea.
Artist Tom Deininger's sculptures are remarkable studies of the natural world, a menagerie of wildlife recreated in lifelike detail, from the everyday to the exotic. Inanimate objects that somehow capture the essence of their living counterparts, so convincing that even real animals sometimes seem confused. Deininger's message: shift your perspective to change what you see.
There is much meditations on nature and the man-made world, both a condemnation and a celebration of the vast quantities of things we can make.
He makes each piece with discarded objects, everything from trash to childhood toys, once loved, now forgotten.
So this is like a re-envisioned Toy Story.
Yeah, it can be conceived as that. Subverting nostalgia is the way I like to consider it. So I'm going to give you your memory back, but it's not so nice and pleasant anymore.
His warning is one about human consumption and the environmental threat it poses on land and when it's flushed out to sea, from birds full of plastic to sea life trapped in it. Deininger hopes his art can raise awareness about threatened species, like this ruby-throated hummingbird, a work he showed us in process at his studio in Rhode Island.
I can see the broken reflectors here. Sunglasses, it looks like.
Pens, sunglasses, remote controls, lighters. The best way to describe it is painting with junk.
Deininger grew up in the 70s outside Boston. His love of nature and the outdoors fueled his art and environmental awareness.
I was swimming in this river and my friend's father, it's like, I wouldn't do that. And that was such a kind of visceral offense to like the fact that we have polluted our waterways to the point where they're not safe to swim was just, it kind of hit me as such an offense.
Deininger studied painting in art school in the 1990s, focused on landscapes before using trash as his main palette.
I was on a surf trip around the South Pacific, and I was seeing this stuff wash up on these remote islands in the South Pacific. And at that point, I knew it was a problem, and that helped me think about the content.
Back home, he began collecting trash on the beach and even started digging through garbage bins, hot gluing every object together in a process that takes months. The results didn't catch on at first. Until 2019, when he posted this video on social media of one of his old pieces.
Within a couple of months, I maybe had 100,000 followers.
What went on in your mind when work that you've been creating for decades received such attention and recognition like this?
This is cool.
It was that low key.
Yeah.
Cool and career changing. Deininger has since signed on with a New York gallery, and last year showed his work at the prestigious Art Basel Fair in Miami. The fan videos and their views exploded, and now the trash comes to him.
People from social media mail me boxes of the stuff that they just not comfortable throwing away, and I love that when that happens.
He's sold every one of his pieces, with commissions pouring in. What he's earned,
hi baby,
he's used to open an animal sanctuary. He's also an avid kite surfer, but when he's done catching wind in the waves, he always takes time to pick up after us. In even the smallest pieces of trash, Tom Deininger sees a threat in life cycle, and with it, an opportunity to shatter the illusion and open someone's eyes.
Even if it provides just a moment's entertainment, if it can start a more profound conversation, even better, but I hope it unlocks something for people.
Tomorrow is an important day in the universe of American fashion. It's time for the Metropolitan Museum's anxiously awaited Met Gala. Michelle Miller offers a behind-the-scenes look.
There is no invitation more coveted in New York City than this one. A star-studded red carpet ascent into the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the first Monday of every May. But the cause driving the Met Gala since 1948 has been this.
I love these pieces.
The museum's esteemed Costume Institute and its annual fashion exhibit.
You're still putting things together.
I mean, right until the very, very end. Making sure that each piece is presented in its absolute best light.
Co-curator Monica Miller oversaw final preps on our visit for Superfine, tailoring Black style.
This section is called Cosmopolitanism.
The first time the Institute is centered on Black culture, in this instance, the male form, and in particular, the dandy.
So what is the definition of a dandy?
Someone who studies, above all else, to dress elegantly and fashionably.
Who studies above all else?
Yes. Black people in particular bring to dandyism an understanding, right, of how they have been represented, a desire to self-represent.
The point of fashion forming identity begins with Julius Sobiese, an 18th century formerly enslaved man who enjoyed a close relationship with the Duchess of Queensberry.
He could himself negotiate his own status in terms of how he was perceived, but also how he was presenting himself.
In America, dressing above station, while perilous, also accessed freedom.
William and Ellen Craft, an enslaved couple who, were planning their escape. They understood that if they were able to dress differently, they would be taken very differently.
The catalyst for the exhibition was really the passing of André Leon Talley in January of 2022. And, André was a remarkable fashion icon and so loved in the fashion community.
Andrew Bolton is the curator in charge of the Met's Costume Institute. He remembers Leon Talley, who for nearly 30 years helped guide Vogue magazine as both its creative director and editor-at-large.
A lot of his obituaries would describe him as a dandy. And I was very familiar with the history of dandyism in England, but I was less familiar with what happens when the dandy is racialized.
Dandyism, as Bolton sees it, dances around boundaries of all kinds.
He has this sort of amorphous character. He exists between male and female, straight and gay. Then he also challenges the space between white and black.
For centuries, dandyism has been associated with white Europeans. Men like Beau Brummel, Lord Byron, and Oscar Wilde. They didn't just produce art and literature, they produced themselves.
Would you consider yourself a dandy?
I don't consider myself anything necessarily. It's part of my discipline, I would say.
Nigerian artist Ike Ude serves as special consultant for the exhibit, and not just for his style expertise, though that didn't hurt.
So when you get up in the morning, how do you get dressed?
Certain clothes would beckon you to wear them, and some might not.
So what beckoned you to wear velvet today with checkers?
For simplicity and for silhouette.
The photographer has poignantly captured those who many might consider to be the dandies of our day. Oscar nominee Coleman Domingo, for one, on the cover of Vogue.
Would someone not want to be called in this day and age a dandy?
You could call somebody a dandy, but a dandy doesn't call himself a dandy.
Oh.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Because it's needless to say.
It's like, it is what it is.
Indeed, yes.
A complicated concept for sure, but one Ude believes anyone can appreciate.
The exhibition is going to have this kind of osmosis. You just drink and soak in all these beautiful moments and passages. Human beings have always had a beauty instinct. It's there.
The beauty is in more than 200 objects in the show, dating back over 300 years. Everything from Frederick Douglass's tailcoat to a suit designed by another modern-day dandy, Pharrell, the men's creative director of Louis Vuitton. Even a shirt worn by Prince. With sports icon LeBron James as honorary chair of the gala, and superstar hosts like gold medalist Simone Biles and Grammy winner Usher, tomorrow's Met Gala is leaning all the way in.
A moment in time where, for a lot of African Americans, there seems to be an attack on their culture. What will this moment at the Met mean?
I don't know what it will mean for everyone, but what I can tell you that I'm really excited to be presenting Black history, perhaps in a way that people hadn't been used to addressing it, and recognize those moments, right, either in their own lives or in the lives of people that they care about. Even if it's only a moment between you and your mirror, everybody understands what it's like to put on something that makes you feel beautiful.
Sleek, symmetrical, streamlined. When it burst onto the international scene 100 years ago this week, Art Deco epitomized all that was modern and sophisticated.
At the time, they called it style moderne or art moderne, and they thought of it as an overall attitude about style, but it really meant everything new that was happening at that moment.
Franklin Hill Perrell is chief curator of an exhibit marking the anniversary at the Nassau County Museum of Art on Long Island.
In part, it arises out of Cubism. Triangles, circles, squares are very key, and the idea of streamlining and simplification of form that tends towards an angularity.
Art Deco was introduced to the world at an exhibit in Paris in April of 1925. In the years that followed, it grew to encompass everything from art to consumer goods to fashion, at a time when women were entering the workplace in record numbers.
This is the era the skirts straighten out, the legs have mobility, the hairdo is then simplified. You have a cloche hat instead of something hugely flamboyant with feathers and the like.
Deco even made its way onto the silver screen.
Look, Emerald City is closer and prettier than ever.
From the spires of Emerald City to the idealized glamour of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, to the kaleidoscopic dream world of movie magician Busby Berkeley. In the depths of the Depression, movies provided an oasis.
People could live out their fantasies and escape for the price of a ticket. You could get away from what might be otherwise a tough situation.
Although Deco largely fell out of fashion after the Second World War, many examples of the style still stand tall. Manhattan has its soaring Chrysler Building, along with Rockefeller Center. Miami Beach lays claim to the highest concentration of Deco buildings in the world. And around the globe, there are train stations, airport terminals, libraries, concert halls, and movie houses, all bearing its distinctive stamp.
People who are 60, 70 years old, they actually grew up in a Deco world while they didn't actually live through the 30s. All that material from the 30s was intact and present around them. And it's still around.
One of the hallmarks of Easter Sunday is, of course, colorful bonnets. Connor Knighton takes us back to a time not so long ago when exotic feathered hats were all the rage.
The vibrant pink plumage of a flamingo comes courtesy of a pigment found in the shrimp and algae it eats. The birds spend their days foraging for food, constantly dipping their heads underneath the water. But there was a time when the fantastic feathers of all sorts of beautiful birds could be found perched on top of the heads of high society women.
So at the end of the 19th century, people were just wild about wearing feathers. There was kind of a feather fever in both the United States and in Europe.
Jennifer Stanley Tafe is the director of the Museum of American Bird Art at Mass Audubon. Founded in Boston in 1896, the country's first Audubon Society was established by women seeking to educate their peers about the devastating impact the feather trade was having on bird populations.
Back then, this would have been the height of fashion?
Absolutely, the height of fashion, and the more of the bird, the better, and the more colorful the bird, the better.
A whole menagerie of birds was used to manufacture hats and accessories. In 1886, an ornithologist conducted an informal observation on the streets of New York. Out of 700 ladies wearing hats, around 75% had feathers on them, representing an estimated 40 different species, some worth more than their weight in gold.
Snowy egret feathers in particular were very sought after and expensive. So 1 ounce of snowy egret feathers was worth about $32, whereas gold at the time was worth $30.
Plume hunting was a lucrative business. While the hats were popular in the Northeast, many of the feathers came from Florida.
We had species that were absolutely almost driven to extinction, including the American flamingo, the roseate spoonbill, the snowy egret, the great egret. And the numbers just declined precipitously throughout the decades that followed because of the plume trade.
Kelly Cox is the director of Everglades policy with Audubon, Florida. In 1900, Congress passed legislation intended to stop overhunting.
The Lacey Act was really our first environmental law in this country that addressed the illegal plume trade and started to make headway towards addressing interstate transfer of these bird plumes and made it illegal to do so.
Of course, sometimes a law is only as effective as its enforcement.
It seems like it would have been a lot of work to police this. How do you know? I mean,
Well,
I barely know where we are.
Yeah, nobody was policing this back then. Nobody. There was no law in the Keys.
Jerry Lorenz is the director of research for Audubon, Florida. This part of Florida Bay is home to the roseate spoonbill, a colorful bird once extremely popular with plume hunters.
This bay was hunted out. There was nothing left over here.
In 1902, former plume hunter Guy Bradley was hired to become one of the first game wardens. He patrolled these waters looking for poachers until he was killed in the line of duty after confronting egret hunters in the Everglades.
His death really was a catalyst for this huge, sweeping nationwide protection for birds.
A series of environmental laws and the establishment of protected areas like Everglades National Park allowed bird populations to rebound. Along the way, it became a fashion faux pas to walk around with a whole aviary on your head. Today, it's once again possible to spot spoonbills in their natural habitat, although they face a different set of challenges.
So humans were once the greatest threat to the spoonbill because we were hunting them. We're not doing that anymore, but we still pose a threat?
Yes, currently the biggest threat to spoonbills in South Florida anyway is the result of climate change and sea level rise.
Habitat loss due to development and pollution also threatens several bird species. But Kelly Cox is hopeful that we can come together to address those issues in the same way that bird lovers did more than a century ago to stop the plume trade.
It's something that gives me faith in the humanity of people writ large, that we can do something wrong, but we can still correct it and move forward in a positive direction.
Just a few days until Valentine's Day. Just a few days left to find the perfect gift. Should it be chocolates, roses, something with lace? With Lee Cowan, we take a closer look at this timeless textile.
As fabrics go, lace has a bit of an identity crisis. At this time of year, of course, it's the stuff of Valentine's Day lingerie, especially red lace. But it's also the frilly stuff you likely saw at your great-grandparents' house, or in the meticulous detail of an Antony van Dyck portrait or a King Louis XIV fashion spread. But lace can also be perfectly modern. It can be as graceful as Grace Kelly, or it can be the material for the material girl.
It just I don't know, it scratched an itch in my brain that just felt so right for me, and I knew that this was for me.
Elena Carnegie-Laux. She wears her passion for lace on her sleeve, literally.
If you want to challenge yourself, you can pick just the white linen, but it will be more difficult.
She's currently writing her doctoral thesis on lace, in between teaching classes on lace making.
And there's your little pico.
She co-founded a lace guild in Brooklyn, where both women and men are finding lace a mesmerizing maze for the mind. But she says lace is also pretty misunderstood.
What's the biggest misconception you think about lace?
Oh, there are so many, actually. That's what I'm here to do, is to help bust some misconceptions.
The most obvious, she says, are doilies. Today we think of them as old-fashioned coasters, but Elena says if you trace the threads back in time, doilies were hardly just a domestic trifle.
During the Irish famine, women were making and selling Irish lace of different varieties and making doilies to help their families survive. There were women making doilies in Japanese internment camps during World War II as a comfort to their families.
Another myth, lace is only white. While many of the pieces that have survived from the 16th and 17th centuries have been bleached by time, lace actually had a pretty colorful history.
Lace can be and has been made in every color, every size, massive scales down to the tiniest scale, so it really can be in any design that you want.
There's knitted lace, needlepoint lace, crocheted lace, wire lace, and on it goes. Each is unique and intricate as a snowflake.
It's very enjoyable, especially for people who like puzzles.
But some veteran lace makers like Linda Knott, yes, Knott is her last name, have a secret.
It's easier than it looks, and it's a great way to impress your friends because you don't have to tell them that. But
she's one of hundreds of lace lovers who descended on Franklin, Tennessee, outside Nashville this past summer, for the annual convention of the International Organization of Lace Incorporated.
Hello, everybody!
Attendees came with lace everywhere, on their collars, on their hats, and in their ears.
What do you like about it specifically?
Oh, the making of it.
Yeah?
Love making it. I find a beautiful piece and say, I have to do this.
So this little flower is finished.
Here there are lace styles from England, Belgium, Denmark, and the one lone style from the U.S.
Twist, cross, twist, cross.
And most here we found were pushing themselves to learn as many of those styles as they could.
You learn sometimes the hard way.
When you come together as a community and you have all these people that have the same interest, you just feed off of each other and you see new ideas.
Ali Marguccio is a former elementary school librarian from Pennsylvania.
Twist, twist, cross. There you go.
She's taught thousands how to make Idra lace, the signature of Slovenia, part of the former Yugoslavia where Ali's relatives were from.
I, as an American, wanted to carry this tradition on in a different place. These are your bobbins, and the bobbins hold the thread that you use.
One of her specialties is bobbin lace.
You'll catch on. I have faith.
Now, to a novice, bobbins look like a cross between mini rolling pins and a cocktail stirrer.
So take number 2, put it over the top of number 3. That's cross.
But after about a half an hour...
That was great.
I'll be damned. My hands caught on, even if my brain didn't.
2, 3.
Which it turns out happens a lot.
You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Kathy Kaufman is another instructor who came here from Chicago in hopes of sharing a joy she fears has been lost to the hustle and bustle of everyday life.
It's dwindling, and now there are fewer people with disposable time to be able to dedicate it to.
These are just a few samples of what she's done with her disposable time.
Some of the pieces have taken me a couple months.
It isn't the fiber that gives it the value. It's the hundreds, thousands of hours, and even years of skill and time that goes into producing these things. So it's really the human element of lace that makes it so valuable.
In 2018, Eleni Carnegie-Laux was commissioned by Columbia Law School to make this custom lace collar for the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It took her more than 300 hours in all. We've heard a lot about thread spun into gold in our fairy tales, and lace certainly qualifies as one of the jewels of our textile history. But today, maybe its real value isn't the end product, but in the twists and turns it takes to get there.
This is a way to really slow down, connect with your body and with your community, and understand, wow, I really made something amazing with my own hands. Just takes a little art and industry.
And patience.
And patience. Well, and it gives you patience if you're not necessarily a patient person.
Some of the works of one of America's leading painters are a kind of Valentine. They feature his partner in life and in art, as Sharon Alfonsi now shows us.
I met her at a party and I danced with her and I knew that was it. She looked very sensual. She's like the American Beauty. She's got the, short nose, full mouth, lots of teeth.
Painter Alex Katz is talking about Ada, his wife, and the subject of some 300 of his portraits.
Ada's been called your muse. Is that fair to say?
I would say that, yeah. She inspired a lot of paintings. It's visual, you see something you like and you want to paint it. It's really simple.
Before Alex and Ada, there was just Alex. Alex Katz was born and reared in New York City. He was an artist in the making from boyhood.
As a kid, I was always painting everything. I put drawings all over the staircase when I was a kid, and the parents left them there for years and years.
Katz kept on painting, went to art school, and painted some more. He came of age as an artist in the 60s, when abstract expressionism was all the vogue. But Katz clung to his own brand of realism.
I had people screaming in galleries up until 1975.
Screaming?
Screaming. Yeah, absolutely screaming that this is not art, this is crap, he ought to go back to art school, stuff like that.
But I always thought he caught the essence of the person.
Ada remembers the very first time she sat for him.
Then suddenly I'm aware of this man. It's an extremely sensual situation. He's looking at my eyes, he's looking at my face, he's looking at my mouth, my butt. I don't, you know, and it was not a sexy picture. I was fully dressed, I was freezing.
First one, then another, and another. 40 of the portraits from this 50-year marriage of art and romance are now on view at New York's Jewish Museum.
One of the things that he loves about painting Ada is that she gives him some distance. He doesn't have to sort of look into her soul. He's much more interested in style, appearance, fashion, in capturing a certain look.
Ruth Beach is the exhibit curator.
He's interested in the way hair might flip to the shoulder. He's interested in the cut of a collar. He's interested in the way light rakes across a face and creates shape and density. There's very little emotional attachment.
In fact, Katz's portraits of Ada seem so detached, so abstract, that he likens them to a mirror.
That's what it's supposed to be, yeah. People see themselves. A lot of women think they're Ada.
None of it's by mistake. Every stroke requires its own brush.
Well, some brushes are used a lot, and some brushes I use once and never again. It's like this brush here, I used on some night paintings where I wanted the white to splatter. I just went like that. So I bought the brush and I go, I stick it about 5 times, 10 times, and clean it, and that's it.
And that's it. And then for 5 years, you don't use that brush again.
Yeah, I don't use that brush again, yeah.
He is fanatical about color.
But I spend maybe more time sometimes mixing the colors than painting the picture.
And how long does it take for you to paint?
To put the paint on the canvas?
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like playing the piano. By the time I get to do it, it's a couple hours, 3 hours, something like that.
Less than a day to complete a 12-foot canvas. Multiple portraits are a Katz specialty. He's even multiplied Ada. But he still thinks his wife is one of a kind.
What would you say about Ada's sense of style?
She's like a 10. Ada will wear anything if she thinks it looks right. It can be quite bizarre. It can be out of a 5 and 10 cent store. Once she just took a tablecloth and wore it to a very fancy party, and someone said, "Oh, who did that?"
You've been painting her for more than 50 years,
Yeah.
is that right? And obviously she's aged.
Yeah.
How do you...
Well, just paint what you see. A lot of people don't know how old they are. She's one of them. She always thought she was about 10 or 20 years younger than what she actually is.
Which means this 50-year marriage of art and life has many paintings to come.